Brutal Hails from Rauta, this time it's all about death metal. Let's go to Belgium with a band called Storm Upon the Masses and the second album, Crusher of Souls. It's so soul crushing that even Metal Archives has listed this as brutal death metal. Let's be honest about it, while I think the album is good, and I'm gonna explain soon why, I think it's a little bit weird to consider this one as brutal death metal and then Cannibal Corpse just death metal. I mean, we could go on and about the debate whether which and this band is more heavy or brutal and all that stuff, but I would put them roughly in the same category. So if this counts as brutal death metal, then does Cannibal Corpse and vice versa. This band has been out since 2009, and indeed the second album so far. Since I haven't heard the previous one, I can't really do any kind of a comparison how the band has evolved throughout the years. Got me interested though, because this album is indeed good. Now my biggest question mark is, however, how come on earth this album is self-financed? Because it's really that good that I could imagine a lot of labels even fighting for to release this one. So my most likely theory is maybe the band didn't even want a label to begin with and act independently, or then something else, something weird is happening. But that goes beyond the scope of this video. We're not gonna speculate more than that, why this is this and this is that and so much on. We're gonna talk about this band. Here it is, themes laid out for annihilation, destruction, Armageddon, horror, mythical creatures. So pretty much the usual themes for a lot of death metal bands out there. Now, Belgium isn't exactly known for a lot of great extreme metal acts. However, there are some few ones which, once again, make it to the map. But this is one of those names that I think should be now popping up more, because I was totally positively surprised when I got the CD. Now, I don't want to sound like a negative Joe, but I guess it's worth explaining what I mean here. A lot of times when an unknown band comes to me, sends email, can you review this or that, and or sends me just blindly a CD or whatever, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it a fair review. I'm not gonna, do brown nosing whatsoever, and I try not to be the hater, like, oh, this is another bullshit album and all that stuff, like mediocrity, go back to your cave and do the better one. But sometimes albums like this just pop up and I'm like, wow, this is actually a good one, and in my opinion, it kind of deserves more praising words. Why? Because I'm a fucking lover of music, and there are not many things that make me more happy than finding something good. And Crusher Souls is one of that albums. Now, I don't want to get you overexcited, however. I wouldn't say this is one of the best albums of year 2024. This couldn't have made to my top 20 even, though this is a good one. But this is so good that it's worth taking a proper look at it and say those words out there, because in my opinion, this is very, very much like how you do and execute death metal in the right way. First of all, this comes with just enough dynamics that it's not getting boring over the course of action. Meaning, throughout this rather 40 minutes, give or take, it's like bouncing back and forth between the more classical take of death metal without exactly being the very first early steps, meaning there are no thrash elements so much. But anything that basically happened after 90s or so, and then you got it delivered. So yes, it's heavy enough to, in a way, to get this excuse to be called brutal death metal. And you could really go on for a lot of bands that probably have done something similar. Maybe not exactly Cannibal Corpse, which I would say is roughly a little bit technical here and there, and also, in a way, a little bit more brutal than this. But then again, basically this is tapping the same veins and pushing the same buttons as a lot of bands out there, which are just fierce, heavy, and yeah, proper death metal. No gimmicks, no clean vocals, no weird parts which like, why did you have to include those ideas on the album? Can you just stick to your guns and do it right? And this is exactly that. Now, maybe it's because of the band photo, but my mind, came up with maybe Chrysion is quite close to this one. Maybe it's just me and my mind playing tricks, but I don't know. Doesn't really matter. What matters is this is not hyper technical death metal. This is not super heavy or anything like that. But this is definitely more on the extreme side of things. I mean, it's brutal enough to be justified called brutal death metal or just death metal. It depends. Sometimes these lines get a little bit blurry. I mean, if you get so far, so deep into the world of brutal death metal, even the brutal death metal ceases to sound that brutal. If you get to know what I mean, understand, know what I'm trying to say here. But proper growly, badass vocals, you have the heavy production that supports it. And more importantly, this doesn't really bore you down. I mean, there are lots of bands which are like good for a song or two, maybe 3 and 4 ones, and then you kind of realize it's just going to repeat itself all over again, and there are really no changes, no patterns whatsoever. But Storm Upon the Masses is, managing to do it right. So for me, I gave it a few spins, and I was like, yeah, this is not getting bored at all, even though it's not the most memorable album out there. And that's probably the only thing I get to really complain about. There are no obvious hit songs. And now we're thinking about what are these hit songs? Could you emphasize on that and whatever? And I'm like, yeah, everybody knows Hammer Smashed Face and the kind of songs that get just, drill into your brain, because all you need is some proper chorus part or just some killer riffs, and then you can okay, this is the ones that is like standing out from the rest. So basically, Storm Upon the Masses is, delivering you the kind of a steady consistency, meaning there are no weak moments, there are no weird moments. It's just, proper death metal, and that's it. So it should really be enough, but sometimes you obviously yearn for more. However, I can say that overall, given the production, vocals, songwriting, nice balance, and no what the fuck moments, this is a good album and totally deserves its listening time, especially if you consider yourself a death metal fan, not some casual death metal listener. So what it's worth, give it a go. And I think this band should be on a label, maybe because it would help more distribution than anything at all. But I don't know. Maybe the band is happy with their, results being like whatever it is. So if I got you interested, maybe you need to buy your copy from the band itself directly, because obviously this might be harder to get through a distro. I don't know. Links are provided in the description box, so do what you will. Give it a go, and if you like it, go buy it. And enjoy.